Hello guys, it's NRL here and welcome to today's video, and today we are putting my rugby league brain to the test as we are going to predict what the ladder's going to look like by the end of 2026. So we're going to go from 17 to first on who I think is going to be there. Going to be quite interesting. There's some interesting picks that I don't know how people are going to react to, mostly always negative, but without further ado, let's get into it. And before anyone says, shocker, this is just my opinion. If you have an opinion, it's just as equal as mine. Actually, no, it's not, but you know what I mean. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with the team that will come 17th and will receive the wooden spoon, the Gold Coast Titans. I feel like in most of any other years, in terms of last year for the Gold Coast Titans, was straight up, they would have probably gotten the spoon if the Knights just weren't generationally bad. But I just think that coming into this season, I mean, you've got Dev Feeder out, and it's just not that much types of changes have occurred. I'm hoping that Josh Hannay does well in his first year, but I think, especially with other teams around him starting to make moves to try to get away from them, I feel like they might struggle really bad this year. So I think they might actually get the wooden spoon. But obviously, not hoping for that, but I just think if I had to pick one of the teams, this was where they were going to fall. Now moving on to 16th place, and we have the St. George Illawarra Dragons. I'm pretty certain this team, in terms of like prediction videos and the betting market, are like the odds-on favourite to get the spoon with just the changes that have occurred within the club. But I don't know. I don't think they were that bad. Like, in complete honesty, they were in a lot of more matches than people thought in terms of closeness. But, you know, I'm pretty certain, like, nearly all of their matches were, like, within 1 to 12 of losing. They just need a couple fixes to their little tweaks, if you will, to get them on the right path and finish a lot higher than they probably should have last year. But I just think that the Dragons may struggle when it comes to some of the lower teams improving, but yeah, bottom four is where I think they'll end up being. But it'll be interesting to see how they develop, especially with Daniel Atkinson in. 15th place, I have gone with the Manly Sea Eagles. Now, if there was any coach that is under pressure this year, it is Anthony Seibold. In my bold predictions video, if you haven't watched him, I have him as the first coach to get released. And I just think with the amount of players that they've let go and essentially major pressure going to be on Jamal Fogarty coming in from the Raiders. Fogarty and Brooks could be very interesting, but just there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment with the Sea Eagles, so I just think they may be bottom four, but you never know. 14th place, and to round out the bottom four, I have gone with South Sydney. Now, obviously, South Sydney last year, one of the main reasons they were down in the ladder as they were was purely because they had so many injuries. It was ridiculous. However, I think coming into this year as well, obviously I'm not hoping that it happens again, but I just think that there are just going to be some matches where I just don't think they're going to be that competitive. For some reason, it's like, oh, people are saying, oh, this year, it's like every year it's sort of like, oh, they're going to improve, they're going to push for the 8, but it just doesn't really happen. And I feel like it's just one of those years where they're just going to it's just going to be meh in a sense. So yeah, I'm just going to have them down in 14th. Now going into 13th, I have the North Queensland Cowboys. The Cowboys are another situation where there is a coach under pressure, this time being Todd Payton. And the Cowboys, besides from a couple of games in the latter on the second half of the season, were very inconsistent. And I feel like that inconsistency is going to be a considerate problem this year if they don't address it. They have also made some okay signings, but I don't think it's ones that, you know, could have fixed the holes in essence of like players that did leave at the end of 2024. So I just think it's kind of going to be a bit more of the same. Number 12, I'm going with the team I support, the Newcastle Knights. And it's at this moment where everybody who supports the clubs below them starts bashing their keyboard saying, yeah, exactly those words. But yeah, the Knights are going to be quite interesting like this year, especially with Dylan Brown now coming in at halfback. I still don't even really know what the halves pairings are going to be. I mean, it's definitely Dylan Brown, but it's essentially who is going to partner them. But it's a very interesting year, especially with how Ponga, what's going to happen with him this year, hopefully if he stays healthy for the entire season. How's Justin Holbrook going to do in his first year at coaching? It's just a whole lot of questions. So, and it's completely honest, if I just see the Knights outside of the bottom 4, I consider that improvement from 2025. But yeah, I just have them in that 12th spot. At 11th place, I have gone with the Dolphins. The last 2 years, I've had them making the 8, but like just barely. But they've gone to the final hurdle, but just haven't been able to get the job done. And I just think that teams that were below them have definitely stepped up in improvement, so I feel like they're going to drop down a little bit. But yeah, still think the Dolphins are a decent team and all, but I just think they're going to fall down a little bit with some teams coming up. In 10th place, I have gone with a bit of a controversial one, the New Zealand Warriors. The Warriors had a very decent run leading into essentially the final third of the season, where they decided to seriously shaft their momentum because they just started losing left, right, and center. They lost to the Titans, they lost to the Dolphins, and all these are like at home where it's meant to be a bit of a fortress. And now you obviously have like Mitch Barnett coming back, which is exciting because he had a very unfortunate injury. I just think, again, it's a similar case with the Dolphins. I think teams around them have gotten better, but I'm not so sure about the Warriors. So I feel like they're just going to finish just outside of the top 8. And now I feel is the most controversial one, 9th place. Who just misses out on the finals? It's going to be the Canberra Raiders. Now this is weird. Obviously, no one expected Canberra to get as high as they did, winning the minor premiership last year, and then decided to take the momentum by just again, shafting at their finals run, losing to the Broncos, some saying controversial circumstances, and then just not showing up against the Sharks in the semi-final. But I do think it's a very weird period for the Raiders. Kind of, I can understand it to some extent when it came to like the Knights coming after 2023, where it's like, we don't really know what's going to happen. But I just feel, again, teams are going to improve, and I just feel like the Raiders are going to knocked down a bit to the point where I think they're just going to miss the finals, probably on like the final week. So now we enter the top 8. In 8th place, the West Tigers. Despite shoving about an entire year's worth of board drama in a space of 2 weeks, I think the West Tigers with their team, this is a very star-studded team that the Tigers have got. I generally think they've got the most underrated squad in the NRL. I'll die on that hill. The hill at Leichhardt Oval, that is. But yeah, I think it's very exciting. I think everyone, obviously the players need to back Benji. The board need to back Benji because if Benji goes, yeah, they're, oh boy. Yeah, they're fucked. Because a lot of players will then just straight up leave. But yep, I think the Tigers will make the finals. They won't host one, unfortunately, in this ladders, but they will make the finals nonetheless. In 7th, I'm going with the Cronulla Sharks. Now, this is a team that has made the prelim final consecutively over the last 2 years, but again, in speaking on other types of conversations about the Cronulla Sharks, they don't feel like a team that does. It's like a weird bit of disrespect that the Sharks have. It's like also people think, oh, the Sharks are the most likely to drop out of the 8, but they do consistently well. But I just think that with other teams around them, you're going to hear me say that a lot, but that's basically what it is. And also you got Ronaldo Mulitalo out for most of the year, which I found out only after saying that Ronaldo Mulitalo was going to be the top try scorer. I feel brilliant. I just think that the Sharks are just still going to be in the finals, but I feel like they're going to be in those elimination final spots away. But not to say they can't go on a deep finals run. In 6th place, hosting a home final, I have the Parramatta Eels. Parramatta having a very decent run of form leading out of the 2025 season, and there's just a lot of positivity at the club. It's actually very optimistic at this point. Jonah Pezzett, despite being only there for a year, I reckon is going to go really well for them. Moses is going to lead by example. Generally, if Parramatta stay healthy, they should be able to make the top 6 and just play consistently, play brilliant. Addo Carr as well. And they've got a good young team as well, so I'm just thinking this is a good sign for the Parramatta Eels, and I'm going to say they're going to make the finals, and they will have a home final. In 5th place, I have got the Melbourne Storm. God, it feels weird to not put them in the top 4, but I just think with the amount of players that are leaving and what kind of slowly seems to be the possibility of Craig Bellamy maybe wrapping things up, it's a very interesting, weird era now for the Melbourne Storm. We've got a lot of young players stepping up into the fore, like Suafalogo, who I currently have as the fullback of the year for the NRL, because I just think he's going to take it full running, and if they stay healthy, it should be really good. But yeah, I just think the Storm might drop off a little bit slightly to the point where they don't have a second round, well, second hope or whatever, but it does feel weird putting him there, but I just think it's right as we go now into the top 4. In 4th place, I have the Sydney Roosters. This is a team that a lot of pundits have as going to be winning it all this year, as with the signing of DCE. Now, I've talked in the last couple of years about the Roosters have an alright team and they make one big signing and it's like, we're making the top 4, and then it doesn't happen. And then it's sort of repeating and whatnot. It's like it happened with Brandon Smith, it happened with Dominic Young, but now they've got Daly Cherry Evans, they've got Tommy Talau, and they've actually got a very star-studded team, especially with the players like Mark Nwangani-Tawase, who just looks really good, and I'm actually I've pulled the trigger on it. They're going to make the top 4 this year, and this is going to be very exciting to see. In 3rd place, I have gone with the Canterbury Bulldogs. Despite the fact they also, like the Raiders, went out in straight sets, I think this Bulldogs team is still very much in a premiership window, and they're just looking good. I mean, they got Leo Thompson in, who I think is actually going to turn into an absolute workhorse for them, hopefully, if they play him right, because it was like talking about this big potential signing. He wasn't as great at the Knights, but I think Seraldo, Gould and that are able to unlock him, though Gould hasn't met him. So basically, I think this is going to be a very interesting coming out party for the Bulldogs. It's just a very interesting time. They could win it all if they want. In 2nd place, I'm going with the Penrith Panthers. So the Penrith Panthers had a very shoddy start to the beginning of 2025, which I'm now convinced they did it on purpose so they could be the first team to win outside the top 4 in the NRL era. That's the only explanation you have for me, because then they became this immediate threat where they were like 7th, but still like were on the verge of winning. Then was stopped by the Broncos in the preliminary final, but I feel like Penrith are going to be back with a mighty vengeance, and they're going to still be the menacing dark empire that they've been. Which then will lead into 1st place, and I have, as the minor premiers for 2026, I have the Brisbane Broncos. They ended the run that Penrith had. They won the grand final in a comeback session with some of the best players in the NRL. I mean, with the way they're going, it's like, it's really hard not to put them anywhere outside of the top 4, but let alone outside of 1st place. They're just the absolute bulk standard for this season, and I'd be very surprised, or any kind of drama would see them fall down a very exponential way to have them not come 1st place. So yeah, who do you guys have for your ladder predictions? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all later.